Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., your mind racing with thoughts that seem to echo louder than any sound outside? It's as if the silence of the night amplifies every worry, regret, and fear that you've been trying to push away during the day. In those moments, you might feel completely alone, trapped in a cycle of sleepless nights and anxious days. But what if I told you there's a way to find peace, even in the midst of life's biggest challenges? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, how could I find peace when everything felt so wrong? Exploring ancient wisdom and modern psychology, seeking answers from spiritual teachers and scientific researchers alike. And time again, I kept coming back to a simple yet profound truth, beautifully expressed by Buddha thousands of years ago, but her words stuck with me, and I began to wonder, is there a way out of this struggle? Is it possible to stop fighting what we cannot change, and still live fully, without giving up or resigning ourselves to misery? But with practice, it's possible to cultivate a sense of inner peace that remains steady, even when life is at its most turbulent. I'm going to share a perspective that could change the way you see your struggles forever. The next time you find yourself lying awake at night, fighting against reality, because when you find peace within yourself, you become a source of peace for the world around you. And in a world that often seems chaotic and divided, what greater gift could there be? Remember that peace is not something to be found out there in a perfect world. It's a quality that you can cultivate within yourself, regardless of what's happening around you. Knowing that your worth and your peace don't depend on external circumstances. Picture yourself able to embrace both the joys and sorrows of life, without being swept away by either. This is the promise of inner peace, not a life. Namaskar, let me tell you a story. In a small town in Ohio, there lived an old man named Walter. Walter was once strong and full of life. He picked up a dry, brown leaf from the ground and turned it over in his hand. I wish I could climb trees with you or build you a treehouse. But I just can't anymore. His granddaughter, Emma, came to sit beside him. She asked, "Grandpa, why do you look so sad?" And for the first time in a long while, he smiled, not a forced smile, but a real one, gentle and at peace. Without adding extra suffering by resisting reality. He built his own house, raised 3 children, but some things cannot be changed, a loved one's passing. The ending of a relationship. The fact that we all age, get sick, and eventually die. Trying to hold on to what's already gone, like gripping a fallen leaf, only brings more pain. This wisdom is not just for monks or spiritual teachers, it's for anyone who ever wished things were different. But acceptance does not mean approval. It's not passivity. It's the courage to look at reality and say, this is what's happening. Now, how will I live with it? Like Walter, we can learn to let go of the dry leaf, so that new buds can grow. For anyone who's watched parents grow old, lost a job, struggled with illness, or seen a dream slip away. Did it bring peace, or more suffering? And worked as a carpenter for 40 years. You know, Grandpa, Mom says the tree doesn't get sad when its leaves fall. It just waits for spring, and new leaves grow again. Our hearts become a little lighter. A new kind of hope appears, not for the past to return, but for today to be lived fully. He realized he had been clinging to the man he once was, like gripping a dry leaf, hoping it would turn green again. Anger, ask yourself, can I allow things to be as they are, just for a moment? Can I stop fighting, and simply breathe, and be with what is? But by holding on so tight, he was missing out on the beauty of what still remained, family, quiet mornings, the laughter of his grandkids. He could not change his illness, but he could change how he lived with it. He loved fishing in the lake near his home, chopping wood every winter, and making pancakes for his grandkids on Sunday mornings. He asked for help. He let his son make him breakfast. He let Emma hold his hand on their walk, even though it embarrassed him. And for the first time, he stopped fighting his own life. He began to greet each day, not as a battle, but as a gift. But as the years passed, Walter's body grew weaker. He was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. At first, he fought it, trying every new treatment, refusing help, hiding his tremors. He hated the way people looked at him with pity. His hands, once steady and skilled, now shook so badly he could barely hold a cup of coffee. One autumn, Walter sat on his porch watching the leaves fall. Walter replied, "I wish I could still do things like I used to, Emma." Emma looked at the leaf and said. Walter stared at the little girl. That night, as he lay in bed, Walter thought about Emma's words. The next morning, Walter did something he hadn't done in years. In Buddhism, acceptance is not the same as giving up or giving in. It means seeing things clearly, just as they are. The Buddha taught, when you let go of what you are, you become what you might be. We live in a culture that tells us to never give up, to always fight, fix, and improve. Have you ever tried to hold on to something that's already changed? A relationship, a dream, your youth, your health? When we accept, truly accept, the facts of our lives, something softens. If you are struggling with something right now, anxiety, loss, disappointment, it's not easy. Thank you. What's the lesson here? 3. Sometimes the hardest thing is not doing something, not saying something, for joy in the small moments that remain. You are not alone. Everyone you meet is carrying something invisible, some struggle, some pain, some loss. But there is a path, a very real, human path, toward peace. You don't have to walk it perfectly. The most beautiful things in life are often found in broken places. To find stillness within the storm, that's when we truly begin to live. That's when we can experience life in all its fullness. Like a wildflower growing through concrete. Life will always have its challenges. Some days will be calm, some days will be stormy. May you find peace, not by changing the world, but by gently opening your heart to it. But it's not about fighting the storms. It's about finding the stillness within them. It's about learning to be present in every moment, to accept what is, and in that acceptance, to find our strength. Because in the quiet moments, when the world is still, that's when we discover who we truly are. How can I be calm in the midst of all this? Just breathe. Feel the earth beneath you, the air around you. Be present in this moment. This is where life is happening. This is where you are alive. And in this aliveness, you have the strength to face whatever comes next. The teacher, instead of giving a direct answer, took his students on a field trip. They stood at the edge of a rushing river, its waters swollen from recent rains. How could anyone be calm in such a raging torrent? The student asked again, feeling a sense of urgency. The teacher didn't speak. He simply reached out, dipped a leaf into the water and let it float away. When the leaf reached the other side, he dipped another one in and let it drift. Over and over, the teacher repeated this action, each leaf carried safely to the other side. Finally, the student couldn't hold back his question anymore. How is this an answer? He asked, confused. The teacher smiled. Do you see that? He asked, pointing not at the river, but at the opposite bank. Do you see what just happened? The student looked and saw dozens of leaves piled up on the shore, all neatly gathered together. It's not about resisting the wind or the rain, the teacher said softly, it's about letting go. The river may rage, but the leaves trust in the current, and in that trust, they find their peace. When we have the courage to sit with our brokenness, to accept it, to breathe into it, that's where the healing begins. That's where we discover our strength. Just take the first step, breathe. Notice the life that is here, now, in this moment. Not reacting, not giving into the impulse to defend, to explain, to fight, to run. That is not weakness. Acceptance is not weakness. It is strength, the quiet kind, born from the willingness to face life as it is. When we stop wasting energy on what we cannot change, we have more room for kindness, for gratitude. Buddha said, to let go does not mean to get rid of. To let go means to let be. So here is a gentle invitation. And so can you. When we refuse to give voice to every thought that comes to mind, when we choose not to react, not to engage in every battle, when we can stand firm without the need to prove ourselves, that is power. That is the strength of acceptance, the courage to be vulnerable. To open our hearts even when they've been hurt before. You are not giving up. You are giving yourself the chance to live fully, right where you are. After this video, find a quiet place. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. As you exhale, imagine letting go of something heavy, just for a moment. Let it rest. Let yourself be. And remember, the tree does not hold on to its old leaves hoping for spring. It lets them fall, trusting that life will find its way. Sometimes the greatest strength is in stillness. I'm reminded of a quote by Rumi, what is not broken can still be healed. Only break it open. Life will always have its ups and downs, its twists and turns. But when we cultivate the ability to be present in the midst of chaos, there's a story about a student who asked his teacher, here's the truth, my friends. So breathe. Thank you for being here.